Well, good afternoon. My name is Jacob Rickwalt,
My name's Jordon Hadley.
and this is the short shoot presented to you by Jonesville Lumber. We want to thank Jonesville Lumber for coming on board. Ben and Abe Graves, we thank you guys so much. Go check them out on Facebook. Go check them out on downtown US 12, right by the fire station downtown Jonesville. We're joined here today by Jordon Hadley, as you mentioned. Jordan has a pretty good season going for him so far, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But Jordan, first off, we talked to every single guest that comes on the show, and we just ask you, how is a week going for you and the program there, with you and your dad?
Um, this past week, we had a couple stuff happen and had a lot of damage with the car. So Monday, my dad went, got all the parts to fix it, got it all fixed up. We got it all fixed. All we got to do is wash it. We got to change the oil, typical maintenance, and we'll be back at it this weekend.
So, folks that maybe not know who you are, as far as Jordan Hadley, the racer, Butler Motor Speedway, his second year in the street stocks, you grew up, watching your family race, watching everybody else race. You got your start in go karts. Kind of tell us a little bit about the go kart route and how it went, how many tracks you kind of went to, and you and your dad is a big bonding time for you guys. Growing up, how was that with your dad, and knowing that, hey, maybe this is something that him and I could tackle together as you guys are doing now.
Um, yeah, I started the whole go kart thing when I was 7 or 8. I woke up Christmas morning and saw a go kart in the living room. We started racing at this backyard track for a couple years. Then I think we took a year off because he was up in Battle Creek working. And then my Papa John started taking me a little bit, and uh, my Uncle Peach started taking me to Palmyra Speedway in Adrian. Then the next year, my dad got back into it with me, and we refreshed the go kart up, put all brand new parts on it. Um, Went and I think I won one feature that year. I was like, I take that as my first real year racing. Um, then the next year we ended up traveling to State Line Speedway in Eden, Ohio. I won the championship in one class and got second in the other class and won a bunch of features that year. So then we decided to start traveling. So we traveled pretty much to Kentucky, Ohio. We had a few shows in Michigan, Tennessee, Alabama for 2 years straight. Won a won a few races, finished up front a lot, and then 2024 came back home, raced a little bit at home. Dwayne Morley bought us a go kart, so we raced at Palmyra for about a year and helped him on his big car. And the next year we decided to move up into the big car.
So we have a picture, and I know your dad, John Hadley's probably watching the show. You guys spend a lot of time together. That's in the race shop. That's throughout the week, getting car ready, learning and growing together as a father and son duo. That's a prestigious thing in racing. Is it's always a father and son duo wherever you go. That's a beautiful thing in racing. The one thing we want to show is a picture of you and your dad, you as a little kid, racing this go kart you were talking about. Just kind of describe the picture that we're going to show, and just kind of, you know, tell us a little bit about, as you said about the go kart deal. But, you know, times down memory lane is a big thing for people that race, and knowing where you came from and knowing how hard you and your dad worked during this said time, just kind of let the fans know, like, how hard was this time, and how special was this moment for you guys.
Oh boy, this was 2021. Um, this was my I take it as my first year really racing, and we got the go kart all freshened up in the off season before this. Had it powder coated orange, looked all nice, had a brand new motor on it. We really didn't. So in go karts, like the biggest thing is tires. We didn't really know much about tires, so I think we washed them. That was about it. No prep. Yeah, sitting in the grid right now. He's wrenching on it. I'm sitting there locked in.
Locked in, and do you remember where you guys finished this day, or was it just kind of you guys' early start?
I'm not too sure, honestly. That a lot of that stuff. I mean, I remember some of it, but I don't remember each race and stuff like that.
But I mean, as far as it goes, I mean that's a lot of people say you start in go karts or you start in micro sprints, whatever you want to race, four cylinders if you want to race cars, kind of understand the car. What kind of things and skills did you guys learn, from the go kart to the big car? Is there anything that is attainable that you can take with you?
I think anyone that is looking into racing should always start in a go kart because if I wouldn't have started in a go kart, I don't think I'd be nearly as smooth as I am today. Like go karts will teach you how to be smooth, teach you how to pass, run the same line over and over again, and mini wedges. I don't think those are as good as go karts. Quarter midgets, mini sprints. I mean, four cylinders. I don't really recommend anyone starting in them because I mean, I don't know. You won't get as much racing knowledge as you will from a go kart. I feel like go karts, you're 2 inches off the ground, if that. Just feels like you're going 140, but you're going 60. So it teaches you a lot.
So, you showed these skills, throughout your first year. You had a lot of fun in the street stock your first year. It's kind of up and down. I followed you guys throughout the entire season as I was, around Butler a lot. The the headaches from the go-kart, just overall headaches, overall frustration throughout racing. The racing is up and down, it's not always up. Like you can't win every single weekend. Um, we all wish you could win every single weekend, but what did you and your dad kind of relate to, and how did you guys, find a path, find a clear path through the time of maybe some discussion, or is there any kind of arguments that you kind of just do things around?
Um, I don't. We get in arguments a little bit. I mean, in the shop, obviously, you're gonna have that, and then um, you know, you win one week, and then the next week, like we had someone get into us, and we broke, finished 10th, which really sucked because I had a really long top five streak. Like ever since the fourth to last race of last year, I had nothing but top fives until this past weekend, and then someone got into me and we broke. But I mean, that's all part of it. It's the ups and downs in racing, and it's what you got to go through, and it's all about moving on to the next weekend.
So you've had multiple times of racing experience, as you said, from 7, 8 years old in a go kart, moving up the ranks. There's a lot of people that help you through, your racing career. Dwayne, I know has helped you. Your dad's helped you. Is there anybody else that's kind of helped you? That's actually had physical help in your racing career, or is it just Dwayne and your dad?
When I first started, I mean, my uncle Peach and my dad had a lot going into it, and they taught me they taught me a lot. I mean, when I first started, they put a sticker on my wheel, smart and smooth. That's all it's about. And then um, when I really started traveling in go karts, Eric Rickner um, started helping us out a lot, and then Tony Heward in the go karts. Yeah, and then we jumped up to the big cars, and I mean, my dad knows a lot more about them than the go karts when we started. So we had a jump start on that, and then Jason Furquan has helped us out a little bit here and there. The Wilbur Bros have helped me out a lot with just driving in the big car, using my head, staying locked in, and Dwayne has helped us out a lot for sure. I mean, uh, he helped sponsor us a little bit in the go karts, and then we moved it to the big cars, and we bought our first motor off of him, and it worked out pretty good. Um, He's helped me a lot with my driving and kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And yeah.
So you mentioned family. You mentioned your uncle Peach. You mentioned your dad. You mentioned Dwayne. You mentioned all these people. Was there a certain point in your racing career before you started racing that, hey, I'm looking up to these guys. Like one day, I like to go to Butler and race, or is that kind of a thought that was just kind of like a hidden dream, or is that something that you didn't think was attainable to, look up to somebody, but also be able to do it? And as we'll get into it here in a little bit, be able to win a Butler is you have the check right behind you.
Yeah, I've always known I was gonna be a race car driver. When I was little, I've spent my whole life at the track. My dad raced, so I was always up in the stands with my mom, um, sleeping in the stands. I would take my Matchbox cars, make tracks in the dirt, and watch my dad. I remember when I was real little, I was sitting in the stands with my mom, and my dad had won my uncle's memorial race, and she was going berserk, carrying me down the stands and carrying me to victory lane. It was a pretty good experience growing up around everything, and yeah, I always knew I'd be a race car driver.
That's awesome. We hear a lot of different stories of people growing up in the stands, but you actually grew up in racing. That's the biggest thing that I want to tell everybody. Like your dad raced, everybody in your family's basically touched the car. Dwayne is basically, really close family to you, and the Morleys are really family to you at the end of the day, right? You actually have some big connections with them. But let's get into the win behind you. Let's start with the week preparing for this win. The week that led into, all right, you just won this pat. You won a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, right? What what was it that you did that you and your dad did moving forward in the week? Like, what was the preparation like? How did you guys handle the week and get ready for the race that you won?
It was a tough build up working towards that win. I mean, we started off the year pretty good. Um, we thought we should have probably had a win at the first race of the year, and then I messed up after a late race restart. But we were lacking a little bit after that. Like we just kept getting worse and worse. So we ended up I bought a left rear spring um, that I kind of thought we needed. That the Wilbur Bros kind of helped us a little bit with that. I bought that, and then it really turned the car all around. And then that whole night we were at the track, we just kept putting more drive in the car and made it faster each time we hit the track.
So, Butler is kind of as we all say, it's a high bank track. It's it's banked. It's probably the most banked track I've ever saw on a dirt track before. Going to the races, local races, it's usually towards the bottom. And how did you kind of understand the track? How did you get familiar with the track in your car, and how it kind of changes, throughout the feature? I mean, it changes. It's not like a pavement track. They got grip lines and the grips there, and it's like a couple lanes you can race on, right? How did you, growing up, and talk about the win? How did you maintain and know what the track wanted and what your car wanted for the win?
Um, you start off the night and the track's really heavy. It's got a lot of moisture usually. It really depends on how Tim waters it or how much rain we got. But yeah, towards the end of the night when it slickens off, I feel like that's when I'm pretty good because a lot of that is when go karts come in and help me out with a lot of that racing craft, like just being smooth, easy on the throttle. You really want to tighten the car up towards the end of the night because when it slickens off, you really don't want to be as loose, and you don't want the car to be able to turn on its own like you do in the heavy. Um, in the heavy, you want to be able to hammer down, really dig through all the mud and go as fast as you can for qualifying. And when it gets to that feature, it's all about being smooth and making consistent laps and yeah, being in control.
You talked about qualifying. Tell us about the day. They're at the track. You guys arrive, unload the car, you hot lap, you do what you do, you qualify. Um, how did qualifying go, and how did the heat race go? moving forward, approaching the win later on in the night?
Yeah, I don't think we qualified good at all. I think we qualified eighth, which until this year is like the worst we've ever qualified. Um, and heat race, we started third, I think, third, yeah. Then finished second, so we made it in the redraw and started first of the feature and just checked out, led every lap. I think we honestly should have had the heat win, but I wasn't gonna show Dwayne the nose because he was actually the one who won it. Um, it's always cool running 1 and 2 with him because he helps us out a lot, obviously.
Also running 1 and 2, you guys are parked right by each other in the pits. They're a Butler. What does that mean to you guys? Knowing you guys have a huge, close relationship. It's not like you are parking by somebody that you don't really know at the racetrack. How does that feel to you?
Yeah, I love going 1 and 2 with Dwayne because I've watched him race for 5 years now, so I think it's always cool to go 1 and 2 with him, especially when we bounce heads off each other and bounce ideas off of each other, and we help each other a lot with our driving. And yeah, and I think it's kind of ironic too. His number's always been 22, and ours is 23, so it works out perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Dwayne's a good guy. Hopefully he's watching this show. He's a good person. Hopefully, as you said before we got on the show, hopefully we can get Dwayne Morley on the show too. That you mentioned you'd like to see what he has to say. But going to the win, knowing that you're leading this race, knowing whatever happened, I was with the Great Lakes Super Sprints when you won this deal. So kind of take us through the race. Like, how did you know? Like you were in the lead or you're not in the lead and you finally get to the lead and you're trying to protect your spot. Tell us a little bit what's going through your mind with the visor down and knowing that, you got to do 110% to keep that car, in the first spot.
Yeah, when we went to staging, we had bolted on a hard tire, and we saw that Tim dumped a bunch of water on it. So usually want a hard tire with a really slick hard track, and it wasn't that at all. So we thought we were gonna be not good, and we started first. I got out there and just got to work scuffing the tires, trying to put heat in it. Then it was really good off that first start, and that's the hard tires. It worked pretty good actually, surprisingly. Like towards probably 4 laps in, and the track had already slickened off, so it worked out in our favor. And then, I mean, towards halfway, it felt like a 35 lap race when it was only 25. We had 4 cautions, and it didn't help. I mean, halfway through, I was sweating bullets. Uh, I mean, I waited until that cross flags, and I was just praying for a white flag or two to go, and it was probably the longest race of my life. And then I thought I was gonna lose it. The one I had to lap someone, and I was completely under him. I had to lift all the way, rolled through the corner. I came out, and my motor stumbled, which isn't good. And then Jake Wilbur was right behind me, and then Caleb, his brother, came up behind me, and luckily the motor woke up, and I got to pull away, and it was all good from there.
You're talking about, sweating bullets. When the caution flag comes out and you're the leader, how do you kind of like initiate the restart knowing like you got two of like the best, you know, street stock drivers in the I want to say in the industry, but around Butler, they're pretty well known. I mean, Wilbur Bros, they know their way around the track. So, how did you kind of know like we were playing any games with like the restarts, knowing you have kind of like advantage of being the leader?
Um, I'll say we have some of the best restart racers in Michigan, no doubt. And then on that restart or all the restarts, I was just trying to keep my pace up and going into turn one, just trying to hold the bottom. And I think that's where I messed up the first night of the year. I gave up the bottom and hit a rut and lost it and got second. Um, so I knew after every restart, I just had to keep my pace up, not let the motor stumble on me again, and go into turn one and hold the bottom.
You guys have tear offs in the race cars for dirt. The one time I was at the track, you pulled the tear offs and you spun out. You fixed the deal now. How is it managing, honestly, though? Sweating bullets, leading the race. You're up front, winning the race. You got Wilbur brothers right behind you. You got a lot of talent right behind you. How did you manage, tearing, pulling the tear off, and also focus on it? Oh, like where are they at? Like kind of thing. Like how is that managing just not only like controlling the race up front, but also just being like, hey, by the way, I have to pull something.
Um, so actually, when that happened, when I pulled all of my tear offs and spun out, that was my very first race, and I had the lead over Bronson Means, and then he got me back, and the track was pretty heavy, and he had roosted me pretty good, so I went to pull the tear off, pulled the whole stack, and spun. And then this past week or 2 weeks ago when I won, I after that first caution, all my tear offs started going all wacky, and it was messing with my vision. So one of the tabs, which on your visor, like the tear offs stick to your tabs, one of my tabs had come undone and actually come unscrewed out of my visor. So I had to just peel all the tear offs off. So luckily I was out front and didn't wasn't getting roosted by anyone, so I didn't have to worry about it really.
That's cool. It was funny when you came in that one time and you were like, man, they were stuck and I pulled them off or whatever. I was laughing, dude. That was funny. But it's good to see you get the win. Seriously, happy for you, happy for your dad, happy for everybody that supports you. Getting this win here, you're in victory lane with the checkered flag. You're still in high school. What does that mean to you? And you look at this picture right now on the podcast, and you're standing right there in victory lane. What does that mean, and how did that like really, really feel to you deep down inside?
Um, it was all a blur really. I mean, it definitely meant a lot. Like as soon as I crossed the line, I started crying and my visor fogged up, and it was pretty emotional. I don't remember seeing a dry eye in victory lane, and I think that picture in 20 years will be something special because I plan to go a long way in the sport.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just cool, honestly. Hearing that just gave me goosebumps. Like not even a dry eye in the pits. Like that's what every win should be. As people that win and get to celebrate the win, like it's emotional. And according to what Kyle Busch said, rest in peace. You never know when your last one is, and we're just using that for reference today. But you never know when your last one is, and you never know when the last one is with your father, and your dad, John, is here in the picture and he's hugging you. They're in victory lane. Just, man, I had goosebumps just looking at that photo because I know how much time and how much your dad really loves you and also loves helping you. Every time I talk to John and talk to your dad, it was always like, I'm just here for him. I'm gonna give him whatever I want and whatever he needs to be successful. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we sacrifice a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears. Like it, it means a lot. Like especially after we get a win like that. I mean, I think the last time I remember me getting a big win like this was the Rumble, and it was the same reaction from both of us. I mean, I was like 12, and it was the same reactions, same way. It comes from a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, hard work. I mean, it's not easy to win in anything. So when we win, we try to win a lot, and when we do win, it means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, as I said about your dad, it's just cool. Honestly, you guys have the perfect connection that I see on the outside looking in. You guys have a good connection, and you guys have been pretty there by each other as far as helping each other out, and you guys have done a lot of cool. I would say magic for myself. Magic. You guys did a lot of magic in these 2 years to stumble on I wouldn't say stumble on a win, but get a win, right? To win and be recognized at Butler Motor Speedway. And, you have a lot of fans in the stands and you got a lot of sponsors. So who do you got to thank that gets you the track every single weekend? And kind of also after that, kind of tell us about how the stands erupted there at the track.
Yeah, I have a lot of people who support me and help me out. All my sponsors, RPM Trucking, Brandy and Paul Miller, Hillsville Terminal, Curtis Condon, Affordable Towing, Mike and Heidi Raymond, DK Products, Billy Brown, Waffle Farm Campgrounds, with Bill, A1 Gutter Master, Scott Moore and Charmaine, Ben's Bump Shop, Pat and Ben Kilpatrick, Bailey Excavating, John Bailey, Jordan Bailey, TNA Auto Repair, Tyler Nine, Alyssa Nye, uh, Rising Grind, Christy Nichols, Uptown Garage, Chuck Provenzano, McLaughlin Transport, Doug McLaughlin, Clearwater Pools, Doug Keller and Austin Howard, Schley Construction, Billy Schley, Justin Scott, State Farm Agent, Hilliard Trucking, Dustin Hilliard, and Dynamic Industrial Supply. And then at the beginning of the year, we did this 100 square chart thing. That helped us a lot in the off season. Eric Rickner, Andrew Christopher Racing, Krista Marshall, John DeBow, Skeeter Kulikowski, Casey Loma, Morehouse Designs, Heidi Raymond, Josh Cox and Owen Joshua, Hayden and Oakley, Natalie and Tyler, Shelly Nichols, Todd Harwood helped us out a lot. He got us the Hillsville Terminal sponsorship. Sean and Kim McFeeders, McCafferty Motorsports, Caden Raymond, Nathan Schaefer every week for all his help. Um, Kelly Miracle, Amy Davison got us, or Justin Scott, State Farm Agent. He got us, or she got us our sponsorship with them. Lewis Detailing, Tyler and Brady Morehouse, my grandpa and grandma Smalley, Michelle and David Collins, Destiny Denslow, George and Stephanie Zeman, Christy Nichols, Full Throttle Images, and yep, Dwayne and the Morley family. And yeah, that's everyone. My dad, for sure. My dad helps me out a lot with all his time spent, all our hard work spent in the garage, all his help at the track. It means a lot.
So, big thing that I just took away from everybody you just read off, all your sponsors, the squares that you guys do on the off season, as people support you, very inexpensive way to support, Jordon Hadley here. If you guys are listening to the podcast, make sure to hit them up on the off season. And we're not done yet, but just kind of tell us where, they can hit you up at and where people can, if they want to sponsor you or throw some money your way, where can they find you at?
Um, I'm on TikTok. Follow me, Jordan Hadley 23. I'm on Facebook. You can message me there. My email is football23hadley at gmail.com. You get a hold of my dad on Facebook, John Hadley. I got Instagram, it's Jordan Hadley. Yeah, hit me up on any of my platforms, and for sure, if you want to help us out, we'll definitely appreciate it and get your name on the car. And yeah,
So moving forward with the podcast, a lot of people compare you to Mannix Verquant. I've heard the reference a couple times, and I just think it's kind of crazy how far Mannix has come and how far you came too through the sport. Both started in go karts and did that deal, and now he's in a mod and you're in a street stock. What is the friendship like between you two on and off the racetrack?
I think it's really funny because when I first started in that backyard track, Mannix was there, and we raced together when I was real little. Um, then we grew up together at Butler Speedway, and he was racing with all the adults, and I was racing with the kids. And I looked up to him when I was little in the go karts, and then he ended up moving up to the modified, and I was still like 9 at the time. So we went traveling go karts, and I kind of watched him race the modifieds for a few years, and then the year before I got in the big cars when he started turning everything up in the modified, and went to Peoria and did really good. And then yeah, I think it's pretty cool that we started in the same area, and we're both in big cars racing at Butler now.
You guys talk about dig on the social media. What is dig? Is it digging in the track? Is it getting, forward? Is it hot? Is it sexy? Is it what is dig? Let everybody know What does it mean to dig?
I don't know if I'm the right guy to describe it, but dig is you could dig running track. Like it's all about just you're going fast, you're moving. Um, when you see a dig picture on TikTok or Facebook, it's when it's all hiked up and getting after it. Elbows up, racing hard.
Your dad raced. We have a picture of him, and I want you to see this picture, and I want to see if this is dig or not. So let me know if you see this picture. If you see the picture, when you see it, let me know yes or no. Is this dig or not dig?
Oh boy, I would not classify that as dig. That's not dig at all.
Looks
um,
like he's digging in the ground.
it looks like he's a bit tight. No, that is not indeed dig. And yikes, that's not. Oh my gosh, not he looks like he's going very slow. And
Looks like he's plowing with that whatever. I think he broke the front end on that thing.
it looks tore up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that was his fastest car too. So yikes.
Then we got another picture. This isn't dig, but I guess this is following the footsteps that you looked up to your entire life. Your dad there in Victory Lane. So
Yeah, that was actually his. I think his last year racing, or I think he raced one more year after this. It was the last year he raced, or the last race that he had won. It was 2015. It was my uncle's memorial race. And this was the race I was talking about when I was sitting up in the stands and with my mom. She started going berserk when my dad won and carried me down the stands. I can't confirm or deny she possibly could have been close to falling down the stands. Just because she was freaking out. She was so excited. Everyone. I don't really remember it because I was 3 in this picture. I think. My uncle Brock is actually there holding me in that picture. Yeah, that was a good night for my family and pretty emotional. I'm sure for everyone there.
so that's you right there. For folks that are watching this, that's you right above the Butler sign. Right
Yep.
there, the guy that's holding you in the plaid shirt.
Yep.
Okay. It's a little Jordon Hadley right there, folks. But um I think that's like all the pictures I had, but just you know, kind of cool. As I said, I wanted to show different pictures today. I wanted to talk about family and stuff like that. And, it's just cool to me that your dad did it. You're back in Victory Lane. He's helping you now. The biggest thing before we go today is I have two things left. First off, everybody kind of wants to know what's your plans moving forward with your racing career. It could be a short term it could be a short term goal. It could be a long term goal. What is both of those look like? And kind of tell us kind of the timeline of where you want to go.
Um. For now, I just want to keep winning races and hopefully shoot to win this street stock championship. And we got a modified sitting in the garage right now, pretty good modified. So we'll be going to that next year. Hopefully we'll be traveling a little bit next year, going other places, and obviously still coming home to Butler and racing a little bit at Butler. Um, and hopefully at some point in my career I'll be racing national, um, being with the Hell Tour, and hopefully my goal, my dream is to go to a late model one day and go World of Outlaw racing because I really want to race a late model right now, but you know racing on a family budget and it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Racing is not the cheapest way, but as you said before we joined the podcast, you inherited the Butler Motor Speedway street stock points lead right now. You're the points leader at Butler Motor Speedway in the street stock division. Just kind of talk a little bit about that. We talked about different people that won championships at Butler Motor Speedway, and that a lot of people are going to be watching you, knowing that you have the points lead right now at Butler. And if you win the street stock championship this year, hypothetically, not putting pressure on you there, Jordan, but if you win the street stock championship at Butler, there's gonna be a lot of eyes on you. So what does that mean to you, and how are you gonna handle that if your phone starts blowing up?
I think I can handle the pressure. I'd be fine with it. Yeah, and then the points lead kind of fell in our hands. I mean, Travis Kyle had the lead, and Dwayne was in second. Um, and Travis Kyle ended up wrecking his car at Mount Pillier, and then he slowly dropped down, and then Dwayne had the points lead, and I was in second. Um, then Dwayne had issues last week. He had a blown head gasket, and I guess they found a crack in his block. So it really sucks for him. I mean, I don't really want to take the points lead like that. It sucks, but it's all a part. It's all a part of being consistent and just hoping your equipment holds together. And it's racing at the end of the day.
Right. As we said, racing's up and has ups and downs, and you see that a lot. And it's just kind of cool that you inherited the points lead. You can take it either way. It's like winning the race when it's rain delayed. Rain shortened race. You take it either way. You can get them right. The final thing I want to say to you before we get you out, I know you're a busy kid. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got a lot of stuff that you got to get ready for this week, as it's almost the middle of the week to get the car ready for Butler this weekend. If you guys are racing, the biggest thing that I want to ask you is what's the biggest piece of advice that you got that you're given from a racer, a family member, whatever, to chase your dreams or chase whatever you want to chase? And then what's one piece of advice you can give other racers? And then what's one piece of advice? So three things here. What's one piece of advice that you can give somebody like not like myself, but somebody that doesn't race, that wants to race, but doesn't know how to get into it?
Um, I'll say the best piece of advice I've ever gotten was when I first started was to be smart and smooth. Those two words are a lot in racing because you can't do anything on the track if you're not smart and smooth because it's just all about being consistent. And then anyone who's trying to get into racing takes a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. If you're wanting to get into it, it takes a lot. Um, I'd look into it for sure. It's definitely a good time. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you have a good season coming, in front of you as we talked about being the points leader. Um, what's the plans this weekend? You guys are going to Butler. Kind of tell some people here as, we're in front of 10,000 people that could potentially see this video. Kind of tell them where they can find you at this weekend and what time you guys are racing.
Yeah, we'll be back at Butler this weekend. I think it's Old Timers Night, so we'll have a bunch of cool old race cars there. Racing starts at 7, so be there. I think it's not supposed to rain this weekend, so it should be good. Hopefully we can stay consistent and keep the points lead.
Well, that's Jordon Hadley trying to defend and just keep his points lead up here at Butler Motor Speedway. Jordan, we want to thank you so much for coming on board here today. Thanks for the time. We took 40 minutes of your time today, so sorry about that, but we wanted to come out here and talk to you as a rising star at Butler.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's definitely cool to do this, and I hope to do some more during the off season or whenever anyone wants me to do it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, that's Jordan Hadley. Good luck this weekend and go get another win.
Yep, thank you.